Jon Moxley just relinquished the AEW Continental Championship in the most emotionally devastating segment in AEW history and announced he signed with WWE. But what's making this absolutely infuriating is that this wasn't a mutual parting of ways or a respectful transition. This was a calculated betrayal that exposes AEW's biggest weakness and proves that loyalty in wrestling means absolutely nothing when WWE comes calling with the right offer. I'm about to break down every heartbreaking moment of Moxley's announcement that had fans literally crying in the arena. Why this move to WWE is either the biggest shock in wrestling since CM Punk's pipe bomb, or the most predictable sellout we should have seen coming, and why Tony Khan's response or lack thereof in the coming weeks will determine whether AEW survives this gut punch or becomes a permanent minor league feeder system for WWE's roster. Let me set this up properly because the context makes this betrayal even worse. Jon Moxley has been AEW's heart and soul since day one. He was the first major WWE star to jump ship when AEW was just an idea, the guy who legitimized the company by choosing them over WWE when he could have stayed and made more money. He's been their world champion multiple times, their locker room leader, their guy who shows up every week regardless of injuries or walking to the ring alone. If anyone embodied what AEW claimed to represent, just a man carrying the Continental Championship over his shoulder looking like he'd aged 10 years overnight. The crowd sensed something was wrong immediately because this wasn't the confident, defiant Moxley they knew. This was someone about to deliver news nobody wanted to hear. Moxley grabbed a microphone, looked around the arena at fans who'd supported him unconditionally, and started talking in a voice that cracked with emotion. I came to AEW because I believed in what we were building. I believed we could create something different, something better, something that put wrestlers first and gave us creative freedom to be who we really are. And for 5 years, I gave this company everything I had. My body, my time, my loyalty, my blood. Drop in the comments immediately. Is Jon Moxley justified in leaving AEW for WWE? Or is this the ultimate betrayal of everything AEW stands for? The wrestling world is literally divided down the middle right now. He continued, and this is where fans in the arena started crying. But I have a family. I have a wife who's also in this business and a daughter who deserves to have her father around and healthy. And as much as I love AEW, as much as I believe in what we built, not the fun I can't keep destroying my body for a company that can't guarantee me the financial security WWE is offering. So I'm relinquishing this championship, effective immediately, stood there in shock, unable to signed a 3-year deal with WWE. This wasn't a worked angle. This felt real in ways that wrestling rarely feels. Moxley placed the Continental Championship in the center of the ring, took one last look at the EW crowd, and said, "I'm sorry it had to end this way, but my body can't take EW's schedule anymore, and WWE's offering me a lighter schedule, guaranteed money, and the medical care I need. I didn't make this decision lightly, but I made it for my family." Then he walked out. No music, no celebration. Just a man who'd made an impossible choice and was living with the consequences. The backstage footage that leaked later makes this even more heartbreaking and controversial. Apparently Moxley told Tony Khan about his WWE negotiations weeks ago, but Khan didn't take it seriously, thinking Moxley was just leveraging for a better AEW Question for the comments. When Moxley actually signed with WWE by not recognizing Khan was blindsided, seriously considering which explains leaving, why there was no succession possible for the Continental Championship and why this announcement felt so chaotic. This is crucial for understanding AEW's future. Let's talk about what this means for AEW because the implications are catastrophic. Jon Moxley wasn't just another wrestler. He was the guy who represented everything AEW claimed to be about. He left WWE at the height of his popularity to help build something new. He took less money, worked a more dangerous style, and became the face of the company's identity. For him to now say, WWE's actually the better option for me, completely undermines AEW's entire value proposition. If Jon Moxley, the most loyal, most committed, most AEW wrestler in the company, can be convinced to leave for WWE, then who can't? Every single AEW roster member is now looking at Moxley's move and thinking, if he couldn't stay, why should I? The floodgates might not open immediately, but this creates a precedent that's terrifying for AEW's future. WWE's strategy here is brilliant and ruthless. They didn't just sign a talented wrestler. They strategically targeted AEW's emotional core, and when push comes to shove, it's not about needing Moxley for their roster. The financial details sending a message by to every journalist make this even more understandable and more frustrating. WWE reportedly offered Moxley $3 million per year, with a reduced schedule of 150 dates instead of AEW's 200+. When you factor in indie bookings AEW talents often work. They also included complete medical coverage for him and his family, something AEW offers but not at WWE's comprehensive level. And critically, they guaranteed him creative input on his character, the exact thing Moxley left WWE for in the first place. That last part is the killer. Moxley's entire reason for leaving WWE in 2019 was creative frustration and feeling like a cog in their machine. For WWE to now say, "We've changed, we'll give you the creative freedom AEW gave you plus all the resources and security AEW can't provide," is an offer that's almost impossible to refuse, especially when you're 38 years old and your body's been through hell. Drop your honest take. Would you stay loyal to a company for less money and worse benefits out of principle? Or would you take the better offer for your family's future? This isn't theoretical for wrestlers, this is their reality. The AEW locker room response has been mixed based on various reports. Some wrestlers understand Moxley's decision and support him doing what's best for his family. Kenny Omega, others feel betrayed and abandoned. Moxley's departure, particularly younger talents, gave a diplomatic answer to Moxley as proof everyone that has to build a career that's right for them and their family. That division in the locker room even though I wish create problems. But you could see the disappointment in Omega's face, the realization that AEW just lost one of their foundational pillars. The Young Bucks were less diplomatic, with Matt Jackson posting a cryptic tweet. Loyalty is a two-way street, and some people's GPS only points one direction. That's a clear shot at Moxley, suggesting he wasn't loyal despite years of AEW treating him well. It's messy, it's emotional, and it's exactly the kind of public drama AEW doesn't need right now. CM Punk, who's had his own complicated history with both companies, tweeted simply, "The business is the business." That non-answer says everything because Punk knows better than anyone that personal relationships and loyalty get complicated when money and career longevity are on the line. WWE's announcement of Moxley's signing was coldly professional, almost dismissive of the emotional weight this carries. A simple press release. WWE is pleased to announce the signing of Jon Moxley to a multi-year contract. Mr. Moxley will make his return at next week's Raw. No acknowledgement of his AEW legacy, no mention of the historic nature of this move, just corporate efficiency that treats him like any other signing. That probably stings for Moxley. When Jon Moxley debuts on Raw, he went from WWE crowds cheer him as a returning newest acquisition, or boo him as an AEW traitor to being roster addition number 47 this year. For his entire that's WWE the trade he made. Let's address the elephant in the room. The consequences. Is this actually happening, or is this an elaborate work? Some fans are convinced this is a storyline, that Moxley's going to show up on Dynamite in 2 weeks and reveal it was all mind games. But multiple credible sources have confirmed the WWE signing. Moxley's removed AEW from his social media bios, and Tony Khan hasn't denied anything, which he absolutely would if this was storyline. This is real as it gets in wrestling. And that reality is devastating for AEW fans who invested emotionally in the idea that AEW represented something different. Something where loyalty mattered and wrestlers would stay because of the culture rather than the money. Moxley's departure destroys that narrative completely. The comparison to CM Punk returning to WWE is inevitable, but this is different. Punk left WWE burned out and bitter, stayed away for 7 years, and came back only after Vince McMahon was gone and the company had fundamentally changed leadership. Moxley's only been gone 5 years, left to build AEW specifically, and is now returning seemingly because WWE offered him a better deal. It feels more mercenary, less about creative fulfillment and more about financial pragmatism. That's not necessarily wrong, by the way. The Continental Championship have short careers vacated and should maximize their earnings chaos while they can. AEW. But it does undermine the romantic notion that whoever wins is automatically viewed as the freedom and creative satisfaction. The guy who got the title because everyone has a price rather than beating Moxley, and WWE found that's a terrible position to put someone in, and it's entirely Tony Khan's fault for not having a contingency plan. AEW could turn this into a storyline. Have someone like MJF cut promos about how he'll be a loyal champion unlike Moxley, create heel or face heat from the real-life situation. But that risks making Moxley look bad in ways that could damage his WWE run, and AEW doesn't want to burn bridges in case he ever wants to return. It's a no-win situation that AEW has to navigate carefully. The financial hit to AEW is significant beyond just losing Moxley. He was a merchandise mover, a ratings draw, a guy who casual fans recognized. Replacing his value is basically impossible because there aren't many wrestlers at his level available. AEW will survive, but they'll be diminished, and that diminishment makes them less competitive with WWE, which makes more talent consider leaving, which creates a death spiral that's very hard to escape. Drop a prediction. Does AEW lose any other major stars to WWE in the next 12 months because of this? And if so, who's most likely to jump? The domino effect could be catastrophic. For Jon Moxley personally, this is a calculated risk. He's betting that WWE has actually changed since 2019, that negotiations often don't translate freedom and schedule flexibility. If Moxley ends up stuck in catering or given a terrible gimmick in 2 years, like a mule maybe he's right, maybe WWE has evolved. Will he have any leverage? But history suggests not really, that because he can't go back to AEW under contract, at least not for years. He's burned that bridge, and rebuilding it would require serious time and healing. He's all in on WWE now, for better or worse. The emotional weight of fans crying in the arena can't be overstated. These were people who bought into AEW's vision largely because Moxley endorsed it with his presence. His leaving feels personal to them, like a betrayal of their investment and belief. That's the downside of building such strong emotional connections with talent. When they leave, it hurts proportionally to how much fans cared. WWE fans, meanwhile, are celebrating. They see this as validation that WWE is still the top of the mountain, that even AEW's most loyal soldiers eventually realize WWE's where you go to secure your legacy and future. They're not wrong, but they're also missing the tragedy of a man who built something special being forced to leave it because capitalism means the company with more money always wins. Final question. 10 years from now, will Jon Moxley's legacy be defined more by his AEW run where he was a revolutionary, or his WWE runs where he was part of the machine? Legacies are written in retrospect, and his is now incredibly complicated. Share this video if you think Moxley made the right decision for his family, hit like if you think he betrayed everything AEW stands for, and drop your complete thoughts in the comments because this is the most important wrestling story of 2026.